Was it staged? Told you guys while France and Mexico were having all this election fun not to forget about the United States, didn't I? That the eclipse was right over America and we will be joining the election fuckery, so to speak. I don't know what better word to use there, but solar eclipses, when they have bad planetary aspects, they reflect issues for the leadership. Solar, sun, king, ruler, Leo. They reflect issues for the leadership of the country, and the eclipse we had on April was a bad one. You can go on YouTube and just Google April solar eclipse astrology. All the astrologers talked about it. If they're worth their salt, they pointed out that that was a difficult one. That means Biden is not in the clear either. You guys have heard me talk about civil unrest due to Aries, the North Node being the planet of more, the mouth of the dragon, pulling in more of Aries, the energy of fire in the battlefield, and independence, and going our own way, and the shocks and terror that the planet Uranus can bring, with Jupiter expanding that. And I've talked about that over several videos now. As conjoined Jupiter, which we'll talk about as well. That planet, Uranus, when it is an exact aspect, particularly harsh ones, we see things like tornadoes, building collapses, earthquakes. So these are some of the things we've seen just in the past couple of weeks as Jupiter has joined with Uranus. We've seen some earthquakes. We've even seen some stuff in the air related to bombs and warfare as well, which I'll touch on. So what do the astrological charts tell us about what happened? How were all of these astrologers able to predict that some type of event would happen around the 15th that was explosive, maybe terror related, or involved some kind of shocks, whether it was weather or something technological or something related to decapitation or beheading? Where were astrologers getting those keywords from? Unfortunately, the constellation of Algol, a fixed star constellation, it's considered to be one of the most evil ones, and it is located in 26 degrees of the sign Taurus. Fixed stars are called fixed stars because they seem like they're fixed in the sky, even though they're not. They tend to be moving about a degree once every 72 years. The thing about Algol, it's related to mythology of Medusa, a snake-haired demon being turned into stone. All of that is associated with darkness, violence, injustice, and a lot of passion as well. So, with Donald Trump, how does he get involved into this? From an astrological perspective, the reason why this aspect doesn't seem to be as deadly this time as Mars or Uranus being conjoined, this fixed star constellation of Algol, has been in other times past, is there's 3 configurations called sextiles and 1 trine aspect being involved pointing to this configuration. So similarly earlier, like I said, when eclipses occur, if there's bad aspects pointing to it, it means bad news. Well, as this Mars-Uranus conjunction happened in Algol, we have generally good, benefic, helpful aspects here. So with leadership getting eclipsed, and Uranus conjoining Mars and Algol, how does this involve Trump? Well, this conjunction configuration was happening on what is called his midheaven. That, in astrology, is known as the highest point in the sky at the time of your birth. It relates to legacy, what you're out in the world publicly, visibly doing. Just as the sun is most visible midday at 12 o'clock noon, everyone knows where the sun is, you can see it. The midheaven represents what everyone knows you in the world to be doing, what everyone can see you in the world visibly doing. And that is what Donald was doing that day. Visibly campaigning for president on a stage, being a Leo, doing what he does. And in the constellation of beheading, there was the attempt. And that is the very literal manifestation of astrology right there in front of your very eyes for all of us to have seen in real time. The constellation of beheading on the midheaven of what the man publicly does was all out for us on display to see. Uranus also represents the youth. It represents rebellion, revolution, shock, sometimes geniuses, and sometimes weird people. This kid was 20 years old. 20. and he takes a rifle, Mars, not even a handgun, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but he takes a rifle. He kills a family man, by the way, Mars, gets his head blown off, decapitation, Algol, and shocks the world. Uranus, Mars, conjunction, and Algol. Boom. In this video that I recorded with Lada at the end of June of this year, 2024, I said that this September we'll have clarity on power struggles related to hidden threats and social unrest related to homeland security. Now, there's a progressed Saturn in the 12th house. That's going to square transit Pluto. That's going to highlight hidden enemies and deep changes as well. So that could point to power struggles and potential hidden threats. So it could be more of an under the surface thing more than it is like a Pearl Harbor type of thing. It could be, but like we indicated with Jupiter and the Sun in the 8th, this could also indicate with this aspect as well that some of these operations that are happening underneath the surface now come to the surface. And we go, wait a minute, there's a conspiracy to do this or attack this person or that. So some of that could come to light. Hidden threats related to social unrest and homeland security. The United States 6th house is going to have issues related to the military. Now let's take a look at the footage of what happened.
He was doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I could get some beautiful places, the gorgeous ocean, the Mediterranean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof with that.
To our country, probably 20 million people. And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Something shady is going on in America's 6th house of military, and I pointed it out, and we can now boil it down to what the charts are telling us with this simple question. How do you bring a big old rifle, not even a handgun, a big old rifle, to a presidential rally and just get left alone after people are telling the authorities about it? How? Now, Algol is a passionate and financial fixed star as well. I was on an interview panel with some remote viewers talking about a cliff high prediction on the 15th and other predictions about what might happen. And none of us saw this having detrimental effects on the market, which is interesting. The reason I could see it from my perspective astrologically is that the conjunction was taking place in tropical Taurus, which is ruled by the planet Venus, which is ruled by money. And money, Venus right now, is with Leo, which is one of Donald Trump's major signs. So quite literally, and I know this might offend some of you, I'm just reading the charts. This assassination attempt is bullish for markets. And you can go look at market charts right now and see that markets have responded favorably. Here's the thing though. Trump has some 12th house aspects going on that tell me that he should be more like Biden in 2020 and run the rest of his campaign from his house or just lay low. But with his arrogance and need to be visible, he won't. Mars is our desire, testosterone, how we go after what we want in the world. Leo is the stage, the spotlight. Donald has Mars strongly in Leo. It's like telling an actor or an athlete that they can't go out stage and perform in front of the audience that's been waiting to see them. They don't want to hear that. That's what they do. You're telling me I'm not allowed to go do what I'm here to do? He's not going to hear that. But the man is still in danger. At Mars of his is in a 90-degree angle square to Uranus and Algol, which is on his midheaven, and this aspect is going to happen again in the future, in the near future. Because of the birth location of his Mars is on the ascendant, the rising sign, the physical body, the first house. This square aspect from Mars, the planet moving in the sky right now, meeting with Uranus, the planet of shock and disruption, in the sign of Algol, which we now know what it represents, decapitation, and Mars representing weapons. This has already demonstrated an attack on the ascendant, on his physical body. So if this aspect is going to happen again, well, maybe you should lay low, buddy. Trump is going to deal with this aspect 2 more times. 2 more times. There's Mars going to be retrograde, opposing Leo later this year. Not good. The end of the month at July 29th doesn't look great. This is why in the olden days, kings would have astrologers like myself on the payroll so that he could be warned about that 2 more attacks are coming and that your secret service or that your military has got some issues going on with it. Maybe you shouldn't trust them right now. Anyway, was it staged? When President JFK got shot, they claimed it was a lone gunman. Lee Harvey Oswald acted by himself, lone crazy gunman. If only we had social media back then. Because that narrative's garbage, and they still won't release the files on that. In my opinion, an observation, this kid was allowed to bring in a rifle to an event where there shouldn't be rifles, to an optimal spot to blow someone's brains out, and then allowed to take 5 to 10 shots at a former US president before he was neutralized by the world's most decorated Secret Service. I don't think this was fully staged. I think this was completely allowed. And I think Trump's a lucky man for now. I think he's lucky he turned his head. And I think he's very lucky that this didn't happen on the 14th or the 15th or the 16th of July. Also, in my opinion, for the conspiracy theorists who think that Trump himself staged this, you would need a shooter to hit a small ear about 200 feet away in a crowd full of people, not leak the information, and have a 76-year-old man agree to it. I know he's no stranger to Hollywood, but to coordinate all that and to agree to it, that's a lot. Look, in my opinion, Trump is alive today solely due to a bad wind estimation of the shooter of just 5 miles an hour, just enough to move the bullet 2 inches from his forehead to his ear, and he happened to turn his head. Like I said in my interview with Lada this June, hidden issues about homeland security in the US military will come to surface likely around this September. Remember, we've got 1 set of eclipses left in the sign of Libra and Aries this September and October, and I think that they will be quite revealing. Until then, be well, be safe, take care of yourself. Peace.